All right, folks. Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal. I've got Asheebo Rojas with the Chatham News and Record. Here's today's ChathamNC Sports Roundup. We're a little bit late this week. We're on a Friday instead of a Thursday, and it's all my fault because we have to change due to scheduling conflicts on my part. Here's the agenda. However, instead of wrestling, we're going to start off talking about the fact that the Seaford boys have won the 1A, 2A indoor track state championship. Asheebo's going to be talking about that. Then we'll go into wrestling. A lot going on there this coming weekend. Also, we'll talk about basketball conference tournaments. There's some final games being played tonight. Asheebo will get into that. Well, also the tournament seedings were supposed to state tournament seedings were supposed to come out on Saturday. Those have been postponed to Sunday. Asheebo will give you a rundown of where he sees all those teams are going to land up being in the tournament and where at. And then, as usual, we'll talk about the articles he had in the paper that came out yesterday. So if you weren't able to go out in the snow and get it yesterday, you can go out and get it today because the roads are clear. Of course, the athlete of the week, and then winter sports are wrapping up. Spring sports are coming up. So let me get Asheebo on board here. Let me get rid of that agenda. You guys can screen save it, or it's not that hard to remember. And then we will go to Mr. Asheebo. Let me hide that. Boom. There we go. I do this all the time. There he is, Mr. Asheebo, and we're ready to start. So let me get out of here. And Asheebo, why don't you go ahead and tell folks about the fact that Seaford boys did so well in indoor track?
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, tuning in live or later on in the day or in the week. Yeah, C4 won the boys 1A 2A indoor track state championship last Saturday. Finally get over the hump, and they've been close over the years. Finally get the job done, and they win with a score of 62 points. Pretty big win. I think Salisbury was the next closest team with 31. So a big win for Seaford there. Will Quickie, the senior, he set a new 1A, 2A meet record to win the 1,000-meter run with a time of 2 minutes, 29.76 seconds. And I think this is his third time winning that event in the 1A, 2A indoor meet. So he owns the 1,000-meter run as of now. And then Jack Anstrom, he's also a senior. Of course, he won the 3,200-meter run for the second year in a row with a time of 9 minutes, 33.78 seconds. And that's his seventh career state title across cross country and indoor and outdoor track. So congratulations to Jack for another state title under his belt. And then we have senior Sebastian Calderon. He got a state title in the 500-meter dash with a time of 1 minute and 6.63 seconds. And then we have junior Ryan Yoder from Seaford, also winning a state championship. He got it in pole vault with a mark of 14 feet and 7 inches. And then the girls, as a team, Seaford's girls, they finished 12th in the girls' results with a score of 17. Then Claire Morgan was a runner-up in the pole vault as well. So just a great performance from the team overall. Of course, the boys get the state championship win. And, now they got to get ready for the indoor season coming up in a couple of weeks.
So congratulations to the Seaford boys, but there's more stuff coming up as well. Seaford's got a bunch of wrestlers. Northwood's got one. Chatham Central's got a couple. Give us a rundown because we got the individual state wrestling championships coming up in Greensboro this weekend, and give us a rundown of who's going and what we can expect to see this weekend.
Yeah, so you guys know it was originally supposed to start Thursday with the last day finishing up tomorrow, but because of the snow, they moved it to starting tomorrow and then ending on Monday night. So, but at the 2A Mid-East Regional last Saturday, Seaford, they won their second Mid-East Regional in a row with a score of 212.5 points. And also in those results, Northwood finished 14th. Jordan Matthews followed at 15th. And yeah, like Gene said, we had a lot of wrestlers qualify for the state individual tournament this coming weekend. And also looking at the 1A East Regional, Chatham Central came in 13th as well. So including them on the 1A level, we got Carson Williams from Chatham Central and Stephen Silhan III, also from Chatham Central. Williams will be in the 150-pound bracket, and Silhan will be in the 190-pound bracket. And then looking at 2A, we got Jordan Miller from Seaford, 113 pounds. Gabe Rogers from Seaford, 120 pounds. Nehemiah Page from Jordan Matthews. He's also going to be in there for 120. And then at 132, we got Lane Armstrong from Seaford at 138. Chance Cody from Seaford, 144. Ben Johnson from Seaford. Elijah Farrell from Northwood is going to represent the Chargers in 165. And then also in 165, there's going to be Alex Henchman from Seaford. Judge Lloyd from Seaford in 175. Harrison Compton from Seaford in 190. Jakari Blue, Jordan Matthews will also be in 190. And then Ethan Kubal rounds it out, representing Seaford in 215. So those are all of our qualifiers from the state tournament. I mean, going to the state tournament this weekend. So best of luck to all the county's wrestlers. Maybe we'll see some repeat state champions or first-time state champions. And Seaford, they're going for a repeat in the individual team title, which they got last year after also falling short in the dual team championship. So a lot of stuff to look after in this weekend's tournament as teams are looking for titles, individuals, of course, looking for titles and some pretty good finishes amongst the best wrestlers in the state.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was looking through a list of wrestlers in the 1A and 2A, and I didn't have a chance to really look closely at who else was how other counties were doing. But I was going to say getting 14 folks in there on our part from Chatham County is pretty good. And you're right. I expect that we'll be coming back with some trophies from this tournament. I also want to let folks know I posted on the Chatham Journal Facebook page that there were 12 wrestlers going to the 2A tournament. That is correct. Some folks said don't forget about the Chatham Central wrestlers. I did post that those two were going to the 1A thing. Now, again, they're all in the same conference. However, when you get into the state tournaments, it's 1A and 2A. So, yes, we've got 14 Chatham County wrestlers going to the state tournaments this weekend, 12 of them for 2A and 2 of them for 1A. So congratulations to all of them. I wish them the best of luck. And you will not have to worry about snow. I don't think so at all whatsoever. All right. What's next on our agenda? I gotta bring up my agenda. I'm watching. You guys can watch us live on Facebook, and if you want, you can also leave comments because I'm monitoring that as well. I did have. There we go. All right, look at that. All right, we talked about wrestling, so now we talk about basketball conference tournaments. Those got a little glitch in there because of the snow. So, Asheebo, why don't you give us a rundown of where we are, where all the Chatham County schools are in the tournaments, who won, who's lost, and also let us know what happened because of that as to when the state championship announcement is going to go out as to seedings.
Yeah, so we can start with the Central Tar Heel 1A conference. We got plenty of great matchups earlier in the week, as I think they did their semifinals Monday and championships the next day to get ahead of the snow. In the semifinal game on the boys' side, we got Chatham Charter and the Woods going up again for the third time this year, and Chatham Charter got the edge, 42-41. And went back and watched some of the film on this game, and it was a wild finish. If you guys weren't down there in Solid City catching this one live, but Woods Charter led 39-32 with 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then they had some turnovers. Woods Charter had some turnovers that led to transition layups and fouls for Chatham Charter, and they hit their free throws, chipped away at the lead, and actually took the lead later in the game. And then Woods tied it back at 41 with some free throws by Paul Frizzell with 15 seconds remaining. And then Ryder Murphy from Chatham Charter on the other end, he comes down and gets fouled on the baseline. And with just 2 seconds, he goes on the free throw line, makes the first one, gives Chatham Charter the 42-41 lead. And once Woods inbounds it, try to take a full court shot. On the film, it looked like the Woods player got bumped a little bit, but they didn't call the foul, and they let him play and let it end that way. So, yeah, Chatham Charter gets a big win over Woods. They advanced to the championship game and lost to Southern Wake Academy 56-38. But other than that, great regular season and conference season by Chatham Charter. And we talked to Coach Messier earlier this year. He said, he knows this isn't a team he expects to be as successful as some of his past teams in recent memory, but they still wanted to get the most out of the season, which they did with a great conference season and a solid placement in the playoffs as well. So we'll talk about seeding in a few minutes. But looking at the girls' side of that conference, Chatham Charter also played Woods that same night. Woods led, Chatham Charter won that one 53-22. And then Chatham Charter went to the championship, lost to Triangle Math and Science 41-31. Same thing there. A little bit of the same thing as the boys, where they're not the same Chatham Charter teams we've seen in the past, but they still took care of business in conference play and positioned themselves to once again be in the playoffs. And we'll see if they can make a run there. And then looking at the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A conference tournaments, on the boys' side, we had the conference semis a couple of days ago. Southeast Alamance edged Chatham Central 51-49. Just an epitome of what we've seen from both of those teams this year, just kind of neck and neck, battling in that second and third position in the conference. They split the regular season series, of course, and they come into the conference to give us another really good game with another wild finish, and Southeast Alamance takes that one. So they'll meet Northwood tonight after Northwood took care of Seaford 64-33. In that one, you had Fowler and Graves putting up 14 points each, and they pretty much just control that game from start to finish, like we expect Northwood to do. So we'll see how they finish out the regular season and conference season, and of course the conference postseason in the championship tonight at Southeast Alamance. And on the girls' side of things, Seaforth battled Northwood again in the conference semis. Seaforth won that one 69-47. Gabby White, of course, double-double, and she was all over the place as well. 19 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals. But the highlight of the night was Peyton Collins with 31 points, and she exploded on a great offensive night for herself and Seaforth. And then they'll meet Southeast Alamance, who beat Chatham Central 66-41 in the conference semis. That one, kind of same way that we've seen Southeast play Chatham Central, just go ahead and take care of the game in the first half. I think it was 56-18 at halftime. And I think they took their starters out for most of the second half and cruised to a win there. So we'll have another big matchup between Seaforth and Southeast Alamance tonight at Southeast Alamance at 6 to kick off Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A championship games. And I mean, that's going to be just probably the biggest game before the playoffs, right, in this area, because last time Southeast Alamance came to Seaforth, battled hard, got the lead, and just put together some really great late game execution to win that one by 2 after Seaforth kind of did the same thing to them. I think Katie Leonard had a great night from 3 in that first meeting at Southeast Alamance, and Seaforth came away with a close win at the end. So this one should be another great finish and finale to the season series, and maybe we'll see these two teams again in the 2A East playoffs, maybe for a fourth time. We'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things you will not notice on our agenda at the beginning, there was no power rankings this week because last week was the last week, and it's pretty much held up. We've seen it in the conference tournaments, and I don't think Asheebo and I are surprised about the fact that it's Southeast Alamance versus Northwood on the boys' side and Southeast Alamance versus Seaforth on the girls' side. If you want to watch some good basketball, run over to Southeast Alamance tonight for those games. Those will be fun to watch. All right, now we got that stuff. Asheebo said he's going to touch on the conference tournaments and the seeding. So Asheebo and I briefly talked about this. Yeah, announcement's going to come out on Sunday sometime from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, because there are some teams that are playing the championships tonight, and there's actually some teams that are having their games tomorrow. So the North Carolina High School Association is waiting until Sunday to announce. However, Asheebo, if you don't mind, why don't we go through each one of the teams and you give us a sense as to, are they going to get into the tournament? And if they're going to get into the tournament, I mean, there's going to be some automatics in there as well. Where do you feel that they're going to land up? Top of the bracket, bottom of the bracket? Are they going to be able to play the first game at home, or are they going to have to travel? So, Asheebo, let's hand it off to you as to the tournament and your feelings on it, and let's talk about the different teams out there.
Yeah, so actually we have a basketball playoff preview kind of talking about those exact things based off the RPI standings from earlier this week on Monday. But I did go back and look at the RPI standings as of today. Pretty similar. You look at Northwood in the 2A East bracket, they're going to be an automatic bid. and in the RPI standings they're ranked 4th, but I can see them getting that 3 seed or even higher, depending on how the rest of the top of the classification shakes out here at the end of the season. And yeah, Northwood, of course, they'll get to host at home pretty much all the way through to about the regional rounds, maybe, or depending on who wins, of course, in the tournament, they may even get to host that round as well. So, like I said, they took care of business this year, got a high seed that they wanted, and they should control their own destiny pretty much from here on out until we get to the later rounds. And then Seaford, looking at them, 24 in the RPI standings today, about the same on Monday. And I see them falling around that area, 24 seed. So they won't get the host, but you never know with the way conferences shake out. The competition teams play in their conferences. I think that might help Seaford because they played in the tough conference with Northwood, Chatham Central, Southeast Alamance, and even competed with Chatham Central. Could have beaten Chatham Central this year. Competed with Southeast Alamance in some of those games. So, that competition could help them even if they have to travel and go on the road to play. But it's going to be a tougher road for Seaford in the playoffs. And then Chatham Central down on the 1 East side, they are, I think, projected to be about a 7 seed. I think they're in the RPI standings. They're at 10 as of today. But like you said, tough conference schedule should help them not only in the seeding, but also just with just getting ready to play in the 1A on the 1A level. So they should get the host the first few rounds until maybe third round that they might have to travel, and it'll be a little bit tougher on them. And then looking at Chatham Charter, 1A East also projected seed around 15. They'll get the host, but just for, like we said, same thing with Chatham Central, the first few rounds. So we'll see if they can make a run. Like we talked about earlier, might not be the same deep playoff run in the 1A bracket that we've seen in the past couple of years, but I can see this team winning the first round and making their way to the second round. And then Woods Charter as well, building off of last year's first state tournament appearance, they're going to be around 16, 17 seed. I think today in the RPI standings, they're at 17. And so they're kind of on the border of either hosting or having to go on the road for that first round. They're probably hoping they get 16 and above so they can host that first round, but could be huge for them as they try to win their first playoff game this season. But I think either way, being in the middle of the pack, you're going to play a team that's also kind of in the middle of the pack, and I think they should feel good about that going into the playoffs, regardless if they have to go on the road or host a playoff game, because they've got a taste of the playoffs last year. They went to Chatham Central in the first round, a really good team, and competed early on in that game, but lost big at the end. But now they bring back some of that experience. They've gotten older. They've gotten better. That showed throughout the whole regular season as they completed their best regular season to date at Woods Charter. And now they're taking that momentum into the playoffs. And I'm sure they have pretty sour taste in their mouth after that loss to the rival Chatham Charter in the conference semifinal. So maybe we'll see Woods Charter also win their first playoff game this year on the boys' side. And then go ahead, Gene.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to kick into the girls, but on the boys' side, it's been a good basketball season here in Chatham County, and as Asheebo said, even if they land up towards that middle, bunched up in the middle, we're hoping they all do well. All right, get into the girls.
Yeah, so on the girls' side, Seaford, of course, the big dog here in the county and in the 2A East side, they're as of today, the 2 seed in the RPI standings. So pretty high seed. Like you said, same as Northwood. They should control their destiny as far as hosting all the way until maybe the regional rounds. And depending on how the rest of the tournament shakes out, they might even host that round. So pretty good draw for Seaford, I expect, on Sunday as they try to, get back healthy. Like we said, Peyton Collins, who was hurt in that game against Southeast Alamance a couple weeks ago, she came back out and knocked down 31 points. So they look to be on a roll going into the playoffs. Northwood, pretty high seed for the season. Of course, they played in a tough conference with Southeast and Seaford, and that really helped them out being able to compete against those teams. I think they're in the 10th seed as far as the RPI rankings today. So falling around there, they'll get to host the first couple of rounds, which could be good for them if they try to make another run like last year when they made it to, I think, the third round and met with Seaford once again. So who knows how Northwood could do at that place, but I think they have a pretty good draw as well. Chatham Central, 1A East, projected seed around 17. I think they're 16th in the 1A East RPI rankings as of today, and it might be a tougher first round matchup than last year for Chatham Central, and it kind of hurts Chatham Central that they're in that split conference. Once again, playing in a tough conference, also being in the split conference, they were that fourth place team and couldn't really get over the hump over the top three teams in the conference. But like we said, that competition, getting ready for that could help them the same way it did last year in the 1A playoffs, where they made a pretty decent run, I think, to the third round as well, after finishing fourth in the conference. So we could see a little bit of a repeat of last year, but it will be hard because they will be without a key senior in Landry Allen, who got injured and out for the rest of the season a few weeks ago. So, yeah, that's our draw for Chatham Central. And then for Chatham Charter, projected seed about 27. I think today they are the 25th team in the RPI rankings in the girls 1A East list. So pretty low seed for Chatham Charter. Might be a tough go for the Knights that low. But once again, we never know with the playoffs. And I think the Knights didn't play as well as they would like outside of the conference this season. I think they only went 3-12 in non-conference play. So that's something to factor in as they go into the playoffs and probably have to play another team out of their conference as well. And then Woods Charter, they're probably just getting in the playoffs here, the 32-31 seed. So they're going to squeeze in there likely if everything holds up through the weekend and at the end of the conference tournaments. So that'll be the first time they made the playoffs since the 21-22 season, and they advanced to the second round that year. So they'll have to go on the road, of course, as the lowest seed, possibly. And it'll be tough, but we'll see if Woods can overcome the odds and win as an underdog in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the ones that are 20 and under. I think as with the boys, if you're more towards the middle, you've got more opportunities. Once you get down to the bottom, you're going to be playing some of the tougher teams out there. But again, the 1A folks who have been competing against 2A teams during the season, and I think you and I have talked about this to some of the coaches. They don't mind playing a tougher competition because they feel that helps them out once tournament times comes along. So, folks, Asheebo is on X on Asheebo R38. I'm sure he'll have information out as to where everyone's going to be seating. And so let's get into the paper came out yesterday, Chatham News and Record. And Asheebo, what you've got in this week's newspaper?
Yeah, a lot of different things this week because we're kind of in the transition from winter sports going into the start of spring sports. So we do have our baseball and softball diamond sports preview, just giving a brief overview of some changes, some constants, what to expect from each of the baseball and softball teams in the county before the season gets started on Monday. And of course, we have our basketball playoff preview with kind of some things we just talked about, looking at the seedings and where each of the basketball teams might land in the state tournament after they seed on Sunday. And then we have a story from middle school basketball championships last Friday. We had Pollard beating Horton Middle 48-22, and on the boys' side and on the girls' side, we had Horton defeating Chatham Middle 46-22. Great night of basketball. A lot of the community came out. It was a great atmosphere, and you can read more about it. And then we also have shout out to Chatham Charter's middle school girls basketball team for winning their conference tournament in the Mid-Piedmont Conference Championship with a 36-29 win over Clever Garden on February 7th. So plenty of great things from our middle school basketball teams this year, and we have all those championship wins highlighted in that story. Of course, our Roundup with the results from Seaforth winning the Seaforth boys winning the 1A 2A state championship in indoor track, and then also the remainder of the basketball regular season and the final conference standings before the conference tournaments this week. And then we also have another small entry on kind of how the NCHSAA's third conference draft affected Chatham schools this time around. So we have some changes. I think with Chatham Charter, they shared the 1A 2A Conference E. Woods Charter shared the 1A 2A Conference E with Chatham Charter. Chatham Central shared that conference with Chatham Charter. They're now in the third draft with other schools by themselves as the only Chatham County school in their third draft conference. More changes. I think Woods went from being the only Chatham County school in a 10-member conference to join the Chatham Charter again in the third draft. Carborough left the conference with Jordan Matthews, Northwood, Southwestern Randolph, Urari Charter, Eastern Randolph, and Northmore. And they joined Seaforth, Durham School of Arts, Orange, South Granville, and Webb to form a 4A, 5A conference. So some more changes for our Chatham County teams as far as their conference opponents or where they're placed in the conference landscape. So you can read more about what happened in the third draft, and that will be the third and final draft until, of course, it gets voted on by the task force committee, and they'll move forward with the rest of the transition to 8 classes. So, and then the final thing that I did, I was able to get in the paper Monday. The town of Solid City demolished Paul Braxton Gym, of course, the historic community staple that has been up since 1930. And, a lot of people on Facebook, share their memories in the gym because it served as a place for youth recreation, of course, for other town events like the senior games, homeschool recess, just a whole lot of things went on in that historic place. And its run finally came to an end on Monday, and you can read more about the what happened kind of over time of why they decided to demolish the gym, and also the city's plans for building another one in that story. So that's what we have in the paper this week.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing about that gym is I remember my kids when they used to play rec league basketball playing out in that gym. And the neat thing about it is you kind of walked in there and you felt like you were in the Hoosiers movie because it was just old. It was just old school. Yes, and I'm glad Asheebo mentioned the fact that he's got a story in the paper. And you got to pick up the paper because he's got a story about the middle school basketball tournament. And I told him last year that's something he definitely needs to cover because the JM gym was full of folks. And you got to talk to both the winning coaches from Margaret Pollard and, of course, Coach Bland from Horton as well. So I'm glad he was out there. And, folks, you need to pick up the paper. And it's one of the biggest events here in Chatham County. I did not have a chance to make up the underwriter for the Athlete of the Week. But who is your Athlete of the Week this week?
One quick second before we get into the Athlete of the Week, I did want to highlight this because in our interview with Coach Wanda Bland from Horton, the Horton Middle School girls team, I think we had asked her how many championships she had. I think she said 6, but I got an official word from Derek Lee, the athletic director at Horton. He said it's 4. So she won in 11. Horton won in 11-12, 12-13, 21-22, and of course this season she has 5 runner-ups as well as a coach at Horton. So just continued excellence for the Horton Middle School girls basketball team over the years.
All right. Yeah. Folks who've been in the community for a while know Coach Bland. She played ball, and it's interesting because afterwards we posted the video of you asking her questions, and there were several of our former players who said they were happy to see that she won and appreciate having her as a coach. And I think sometimes we throw out that question to a lot of coaches, why do you coach? And for the most part, the coaches here in Chatham County, whether it's middle school or high school, say, hey, I do it because I want to instill life lessons in my players, and you can see that. So they're not only students successful in school, but they're also, a lot of them are successful once they get out of school as well. All right, now can we get on to the Athlete of the Week?
Yes, we can get on the Athlete of the Week. This week's athlete of the week is Seaford senior Will Quickie. We talked about him a little bit already with the Seaford boys track team. Of course, he set a new 1A, 2A record in the 1,000-meter state run. In his latest win, earned him a three-peat, like we said, in the event, as he won state for the same race in 2023 and 2024. And he also took second at this meet in the 1,600-meter run. So he also had another score that helped Seaford get that big win as a team. So he earns Athlete of the Week honors for the week. Look forward to seeing him complete his high school track season when the outdoor season coming up in a few weeks. Last year, he won a state title in outdoor as well. So, yeah, Will Quickie collecting his own share of state titles, and congratulations to him and the rest of the Seaford boys track team.
Yeah, congratulations to Will. And the thing, too, is, Asheebo, I think you mentioned a couple of live streams ago that you felt that he was going to have a very strong showing in this year's competition. So that's nice to see as well. All right. We're wrapping up winter sports and going into spring sports. Do you have anything to say on that? Because we are going to be transitioning. You're going to hear more about spring sports. I think softball and baseball, they had some tryouts, but weather screwed things up. So what's the latest on winter, spring sports transitions?
From what I've heard from some coaches, I think they're still on track to start on Monday with the games. I did talk to some coaches. I know it was a little bit of a challenge doing tryouts during last week and in the prior week, but it's looking like rosters are getting set. Of course, schedules are already set. Some teams playing on Monday, like Chatham Central softball, they're starting with Eastern Randolph on Monday in the first of a 2-game series. So, yeah, we're about to take a deep dive into spring sports. Girls soccer is going to start as well, and of course, we know the big story with girls soccer is looking to see if Seaford can repeat and bring back pretty much every girl from last year's team except one, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a really exciting year for them and Coach Viana and his girls. And then also, too, Woods Charter girls soccer, just seeing what Coach Stewart can do after last year's defeat in the state championship and how he can rebuild and continue the success of that program as well. So, yeah, plenty. It seems like Chatham County, the spring season always gets spoiled with a lot of great sports because it's not just, girls soccer as well. It's not just softball. There's also baseball. We got Seaford baseball trying to bounce back from a breakout year last year. And they have a lot of guys coming back from that team and pretty much the same coaching staff as well. So, should be a really exciting spring season here in the county. Also, too, like we said, track. We should have a lot of athletes on track that could win some state championships as well across all of our schools in the county. So, yeah, it's gonna be another fun one. This is probably one of my favorites because I like the better weather, of course. Being outside when it's warm, you could wear shorts, be more comfortable outside at those girls soccer games and track meets and things. So I'm always looking forward to the spring season.
Yeah, the neat thing about the outdoor track season too is a lot of those activities happen on at Chatham County Schools, so you can go out and see them compete. The other thing too is actually I ran into at the Northwood game against Seaford basketball game. One of the cheerleaders was there, and she had her lacrosse stick. And I'm like, "Oh, you're getting ready for lacrosse?" So yeah, we got lacrosse coming up too, girls and boys. Northwood coach, I believe he touched base with him. He's excited about the season, and Seaford's excited about the season too. So we've got lacrosse coming up, and Chatham County has some good lacrosse players come up both on the girls side and on the boys side. All right, folks, remember you got to follow Asheebo on X. He's on Asheebo R38. I run the ChathamNC sports account on X, so you can follow us both. And Asheebo, where are you going over the next few days to cover what events?
Yeah, so of course tonight I'll be at Southeast Alamance for the Mid Carolina 1A 2A basketball conference tournament championships. Tomorrow morning I'm going to swing by Northwood to check out the first weekend of the NFL flag league we have in the county, ran by Cedric Pierman, who's an assistant football coach at Northwood. So he's going to debut the league tomorrow, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. And then, of course, wherever we see where the best game for the first round of the playoffs on Tuesday, I plan to be there like I said, we should have some teams hosting some first round games on Tuesday. And of course, Monday night as well. I should be making a trip to Greensboro to follow the county wrestlers in the individual state tournament. So a busy couple of days for me as far as coverage.
Yeah, I've got previous commitments, so I will probably be joining Asheebo tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to take a look at the NFL flag football. I had a chance to talk to Cameron Verdon, who's the AD. Cedric was getting ready to get the fields ready for Saturday morning. The only concern is again, because of snow, I might have pushed a few things back. However, they will be there at 10 o'clock. So we'll take a look at that NFL flag football. And I think that's pretty much it for right now. Again, follow Asheebo on Asheebo R38 on X to find out about the seedings as to when the tournament. And as Asheebo said, next week the basketball tournament starts for the state, and he'll let you know where he's going to be. Best way to do it is follow him on R38, and then on Thursdays pick up the newspaper. We should be back next Thursday with the ChathamNC Sports Roundup live stream. Oh, one other thing, got a note from Facebook that on our live broadcast, they're going to leave those up for 30 days, and after those, they're going to be deleted. However, we do have everything. We go out on X, we go out on Facebook, and we go out on YouTube. So if a Facebook live stream gets eliminated that you are interested in because your favorite players mentioned on it, or you're a guest on it, don't worry. We still have a copy on YouTube that will still be there for you to look at. So just want to let folks know that. Hey, thanks for watching. Keep following Asheebo. Pick up a newspaper. They came out yesterday, and if you didn't get it in the snow, you can get it today because I know the roads are clear. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Asheebo, you got anything else to finish up with?
No, but I think we got it all covered. Like Gene said, thank you all for watching. And we look forward to continuing to cover Chatham County's athletes here at the end of the winter season and starting at the spring season. So thank you all for continuing to support us. And we're looking forward to seeing you all out in the community these next couple of days.
All right, folks.